But I've got to ask you first about your teammates' performance there.
Yeah, I'm proud of them. That's nerve-wracking, getting up in front of a bunch of people and having to hit a golf club. Obviously, we're basketball players, so we're not very good at this, but
They produced Caitlin. Nobody anticipated Clark's recent action. And believe me, the entire sports world will be rocked by this one. News that Clark had filed a lawsuit after a troubling encounter involving a reporter surfaced just 2 minutes earlier.
LPGA just did everything that the WNBA should have been doing this season. They did it all correct.
Fans are in complete awe on the internet. We are not discussing a small argument or a heated conversation that is ignored. No, this is a significant issue. The biggest name in women's basketball at the moment, Caitlin Clark, is stating that enough is enough. To be honest, can you really blame her given everything she's been through this season? Fans are split about the incident. The WNBA is in yet another awkward spotlight, and reporters are frantically seeking answers. What precisely transpired then? For what reason is Clark
making the turn in this Wednesday Pro-Am? Here is Caitlin at the 10th.
Taking right-handed touch through the ball.
What does this signify for her future professional prospects? This narrative is going to get intense, so fasten your seatbelt. Since this is where everything went wrong, let's begin with the occurrence itself. Since joining the league, Clark has been closely watched. Every action she does is scrutinized, examined, and made into headlines. However, things go too far this time. Several people with knowledge of the matter claim that Clark was harassed by a reporter during what was meant to be a standard post-game interview. We've all witnessed stressful times between.
Video how this Pro-Am event originally wasn't even going to be televised, but there were so many fans who were emailing the organization saying, how can we watch Caitlin? Can we come to the event? Can you live stream it? All of these things. And it ended up being put on television. And
the media prior to its occurrence. Sometimes things get unpleasant, questions become too personal, and tempers flare. However, this wasn't only uncomfortable. This was intrusive. This was insulting. And it was obvious that Clark felt she couldn't overlook this. The reporter acted in an aggressive and totally inappropriate manner, according to witnesses at the scene.
Great. Fans were really excited about that. There was so much buzz online. She was trending on Twitter, all of the things. And the LPGA was promoting the crap out of this event. And they also did something really smart by pairing her up with their currently number.
Some even claimed that the questions were not only difficult, but also on the verge of being improper, going beyond what any athlete, no matter how famous they are, should have to put up with. The fact that Clark has long been renowned for her poise makes this even more startling. Despite only being in her rookie season, she manages pressure like an experienced veteran.
Caitlin Clark's so good, she's got me following golf. And thanks to her, I now know who Nelly Korda is. And if there's one thing we can count on with Clark, it's that she's going to draw a crowd.
She has had to deal with constant media attention, trash comments on the court, and even jealousy from other players who feel overshadowed by her quick ascent. She has maintained her composure, remained professional, and allowed her game to speak for itself throughout. However, this particular instance was unique. It has nothing to do with basketball. This has nothing to do with numbers, postseason results, or sponsorship agreements. This had to do with respect, or the total absence of it. And this was the tipping point for someone like Clark, who has put in countless hours to represent the game with honor and grace. She refrained from tweeting. She didn't make a mysterious Instagram story or vent to her teammates. Rather, she went directly to her legal team. She is now acting in a way that makes it quite evident to everyone who is watching. Don't put me to the test. This could not come at a worse time. Depending on your perspective, it might be even better. Clark has finished one of the most talked about seasons in WNBA history. She has simultaneously received acclaim, criticism, celebration, and criticism. Her name has been constantly trending. People can't stop talking about her, regardless of whether they love or detest her. She landed endorsement deals for millions of dollars, like as the huge LPGA relationship that rocked the sports world. Whether the league was prepared for it or not, she has emerged as the face of women's basketball. And now, just when everyone had hoped that the controversy around her would eventually subside, this occurs. It seems as though the world decided to give Clark one more curveball to test how she would react to it. And based on her response, it appears that she is handling it in the exact manner that one would anticipate from a superstar. Without hesitation, head-on, and with no room for disrespect. Since social media is currently ablaze, let's now discuss what fans are saying. The hashtag supporting Clark began to trend globally within minutes of the news breaking. Supporters are rallying behind her, praising her for speaking out against what they perceive to be predatory journalism, calling her courageous, and praising her as a role model. Remarks such as, "Finally, someone holds the media accountable." And Clark is a queen because she is flooding every sports platform that comes to mind. Naturally, though, not everyone agrees with her. There will always be a noisy minority that raises concerns about everything. Some are questioning if it's worth going to court for this. Some are questioning whether Clark is being overly sensitive and whether she ought to have simply ignored it and moved on. The problem is that such individuals have no idea what it's like to be in her position. They have no idea what it's like to have every single moment of your life scrutinized, evaluated, and transformed into clickbait. They are unaware of the toll it takes, particularly on a young person still figuring out what it means to be a superstar in a league that wasn't yet prepared for someone like her. The reporters are on the other side of this. The journalism world is undoubtedly keeping a careful eye on this. Some are standing up for Clark, claiming that the reporter crossed the line and should face the repercussions. Others are concerned about the implications for press freedom and whether it will be more difficult for journalists to carry out their duties if athletes file lawsuits. Without a doubt, it's a tough problem, but let's be honest. Asking difficult questions is not the same as being impolite. Holding someone accountable is not the same as pestering them. Furthermore, what happened to Clark was not journalism if the accounts of this episode are even partially true. It was against the law. She is also fully entitled to take legal action. If that's what she believes is required to safeguard herself and establish a standard for the treatment of athletes in the future. The way this fits into the bigger story of Clark's career is even more intriguing. From the beginning, she has been the focus of controversy. People's opinions were formed as soon as she set foot on a WNBA court. She was viewed by some as the league's savior and the player who would at last raise awareness of women's basketball. She was perceived by some as being overhyped and a media construct who was receiving far too much credit for her true accomplishments. And then there are the guys, seasoned pros who have been working hard in the game for years, winning titles, being named MVPs, and yet managing to remain in Clark's shadow. Wilson's subtle insults about Clark earning money from golf even when she misses strokes weren't just idle remarks. The frustration that has been growing around the league was reflected in them. Clark is now in the center of a firestorm once more due to this legal action. But it's not about basketball this time. It has to do with power. It has to do with limits. And it's about ensuring that you still deserve to be treated like a human being regardless of your level of fame or income. This has enormous legal ramifications. A significant precedent for how athletes engage with the media could be established if Clark prevails in this case. Other players could feel more comfortable speaking up if they believe they have been abused as a result. It might compel media organizations to reconsider how they conduct interviews, train their reporters, and deal with employees who violate boundaries. However, it could backfire if she loses or if the case drags on and becomes a public spectacle. It can give the impression that she is incapable of taking criticism. More scrutiny, assaults, and drama could result from it. This is the risk she is taking. However, this isn't a hasty choice given Clark's background and how collected and methodical she has been throughout her career. This isn't a sentimental response. This is a tactic. Here, she draws a line in the sand and declares, "This is where it stops." Not to be overlooked is the WNBA's part in all of this. So far, the league has been eerily silent. No formal declaration, no public endorsement of Clark, and no denunciation of the reporter's actions. Only quiet. The WNBA actually needs Caitlin Clark, so that quiet is deafening. The increase in viewing is due to her. Products are flying off the shelves because of her. Sponsors are finally taking an interest in women's basketball because of her. However, the league is also afraid of the drama she brings. They don't want the controversy, but they do want her star power. They want her to represent the league, but only under their conditions. Additionally, Clark is effectively stating that she no longer cares about their agreements through this legal action. Even if it causes discomfort for the league, she will act in her own best interests. To be honest, that's precisely what a superstar ought to do. What does this mean for us now? What comes next? The legal process will take some time, though. There will be depositions, investigations, and possibly even a trial. Every detail, comment, and piece of evidence will be scrutinized by the media. For months, if not longer, Clark's name will be in the news. She will also need to continue playing basketball throughout it all. She will need to continue to act, show up, and demonstrate that she is more than the controversy surrounding her. The problem is that she has already repeatedly demonstrated this. She has demonstrated her ability to withstand pressure. She has demonstrated that she can flourish in a limelight that most people would find intolerable. She's now demonstrating that when someone crosses the line, she won't back down. There is more to this moment than a single occurrence involving a single reporter. This relates to the dynamics of power in sports. This concerns how we treat athletes, particularly young ladies who are merely attempting to carry out their duties. In an industry that far too frequently treats gamers like content machines rather than real beings, this is about establishing limits and demanding respect. Although Caitlin Clark didn't request this fight, you have to have faith that she will see it through to the end, win or lose, legal victory or not. She has already sent a message that will reverberate for years to come in the sports world. She is more than a mere performer. She is more than a brand. She is powerful. A very difficult lesson is about to be taught to anyone who undervalues her, believes they can manipulate her, or treats her as inferior. The lawsuit is only the start.